Hi, my name is Gerhard Gschwandtner and welcome to Selling Power TV. Today we have the pleasure of meeting with Beall. He is CEO of ConnectAndSell. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Gerhard.
Could you enlighten us and can you share with us the role of strategy and sales and how they need to be interconnected?
Absolutely. You know, we just got yesterday awarded that our coveted Service Provider of the Year award, which we got for the sixth time in a row from the American Association of Inside Sales Professionals. The AAISP is focused on professionalizing inside sales and getting it as respected as field sales. But in my view, field sales is very limited in our ability to direct it at strategic targets. In fact, your best salesperson is the one least likely to sell to somebody new because you want them to. They're going to sell to make their wallet full. Whereas inside sales, you can actually control the list, and therefore you can control the targeting. And therefore you can do the same thing with inside sales that you do with mergers and acquisitions. That is, you can go take markets. And that's the essence of strategy, is to be able to go take a market in order to be in a position to take another market and so forth and so on.
What do CEOs need to do in order to elevate that perception so that inside sales will become a strategic tool that companies can use? But also, how do inside salespeople clearly understand and assume that role?
For CEOs, in a way, it's kind of easy. You know, CEOs, I'm one, I know how this works. What you do is, if you want to understand something, you take some time, real time, and you go dig in. And you dig in by going to the front lines and by going to experts. Inside sales is another matter. I actually think that it's like anything else. If you've got a great weapon, you should volunteer for the tough assignments. And so if your company is looking to go take a market, to go do something like that, raise your hand and say, we'll go do it, and put a plan forward to do it, and then put skin in the game and be accountable for getting that job done.
A lot of companies that get surveyed, the members of the organization, about more than 60% have no idea about their company strategy. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because the day-to-day is so absorbing and challenging, and people have so much to do, the bar is always being raised, that they just don't have time when they're doing the job to think, what does this mean for my company? And it's just so hard for people down in the trenches, so to speak, to step back and say, you know, why? And if they're asked, they're often going to get this very terse, you know, get the job done, right? We're busy here, guys. And on the flip side, I actually think that senior management oversimplifies their communications and basically says, hey, if we're making the number, we're doing okay. But the number is never the why, and the number is never the strategy.
Right. So let's get back to ConnectAndSell and your role as the CEO. I see you as the chief storyteller of the organization that tells three stories well. One is the story of the addressable market. Two is the story about your solutions. And three is the story of your key customers and satisfied customers. How do you assume that role, and how do you craft a story that penetrates at all three levels?
Talking about the addressable market, really you've got to get to the why, and to get to their why. And those stories have got to be about how our customers are the kinds of customers that we want more of. So in our world, we look at the world like this. If you have the goods and you have the will to dominate a market, we want to work with you. But then you have to get into, so the stories about how it happens. And I think there are two kinds of those. There are ones that give people hope in the organization and strength. So telling stories about, I had a CRO of a large public company reach out to me 2 days ago and want to have a meeting. And he forced the meeting, so to speak. And I happened to be in town, and I went and met with him. And telling that story and how that went, 20-minute meeting, he asked me for a piece of advice right off. I gave him that advice. Don't build an SDR team right now. Do something else first. I have to tell that story internally so that my sales reps and others in my company feel like, hey, they're out there. Because they can't see everybody who's out there that we could serve, and they need to see that. And then there's the how stories. And the hows often come down to what went on inside of a conversation, or what went on inside of a test drive, or whatever it was that happened that allowed us to take these other two, who are we serving, and what is it that they're trying to get, say, well, how did we do that?
So how can people learn more about Connect and Sell?
Two ways. One is the obvious. Go to ConnectAndSell.com and check it out. Probably the most useful one is to follow me on LinkedIn. I tend to publish things that are a little bit provocative, and often people will weigh in pro and con, and the discussions may actually be enlightening.